Hi everybody, welcome back. Today, I started a real difficult thrash on this car because it's about to get really stressful around here. Thank you all so much for watching. I greatly appreciate every single one of you. Even if you haven't subscribed, thank you for coming and enjoying. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. That would help me a ton with trying to get some ad revenue from Google because they sell ads using my intellectual property. Figure that's fair, right? And it's free for you guys. I don't ask for nothing from you but a watch and a share. And that helps me a ton when it comes to the channel. So thank you all who've done that. Like I'd mentioned at the top, this is about to get pretty stressful because we've just made some plans last minute. And I say last minute because, well, everything is last minute at this point, but this car, the old car, I've got to finish it now because I spoke to my brother about driving it and I trusted him. Well, I still do trust him implicitly with driving it. He's not an idiot. And I said, why don't we just throw your seat in this one? We'll change the rear end out and go race at New Hampshire with it because this is way more done than yours. And he said, well, I appreciate the offer, but I don't want to. And I questioned why, and he said, well, I don't trust the other people I race with. And this is my theory on why I don't ride motorcycles on the street, even though I like them. I don't trust the other drivers. So I said, all right, well, here's the thing. Your car needs a lot of work. I live at my shop. You know, at least I don't have to rent or anything. And I have time. So why don't we finish this car, get it out, bring your car here, and I finish it. So that's the plan. I'm going to get his car here once I finish this one. And I'm going to try to do exactly the same thing that I did to this car, except a few more things. I'm going to be putting a cam and lifters in his to try to beef it up a little bit because, well, it doesn't currently meet the cam lift rule for a few places because the rules have changed. So we're going to upgrade that and we're going to put a body on it. First, we got to get this one done. Back here is not so bad. We got to put some braces on it. Not a huge deal. Got to put the window in. Not a huge deal. This body is already tied in, so that's good. It's already on. Roof's already on. Everything's good here. We got to tie in. Well, there's only one windshield brace. There's three here somewhere. I think they fell in my seat, but we got to put a windshield in. We got to get well, I got some hood pins here, but I got to do 5 more up front because I'm not drilling new holes and trying to patch this up. So we got to do that. But we also have to bend the bar for the front end. We also have to bend a new bumper. Besides all of that, we also have to put a duct in here. However, that's not so bad. Windshields are just rivets. This is going to be like a 1/2-inch piece of square stock, which I can bend in a vise, weld washers to it, put bolts with no shank, or put bolts with a little shank and a drill hole through it, and make some hood pins. And we can patch this hood with just some rivets and some aluminum. Not a huge deal. The bumper is going to stink, but we got to do that first. My apologies for all the talking to start this thing out with, but there's a lot to go through right now. We have a whole lot of work ahead of us, and I've got not a lot of time to do it because this car needs to get out so that I can get that car in as soon as possible. That race is in, I'm doing the math right now, about 1 month. And as you're going to see in the next video, well, maybe not the next video, but whenever I start on that car, you'll see the state I get it in, and it's really kind of minimal. We got maybe the roof on it and maybe 1 quarter panel, and that's it. And if it needs engine work, that's going to add time. So we got to get this thing done. Plus, I have the Stafford car to finish. And we go racing in Stafford at the end of April. So basically, I'm glad that I got that car done as much as I have so far because that's kind of allowing me the opportunity to get these done. So instead of talking anymore, you've got the plan. We got to get set up and start bending stuff so that we can have this dang thing done. damn close. I mean, it's close enough for me to not have to worry about it. Got the nose essentially on. It's not really like perfect. It's, you know, it's like a hair off. It's going to give me a good idea of where the bumper's going to be, though. And I think we're going to have to come up with some kind of a front nose bracing solution here as well. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do with that yet, but we'll figure that out. I was thinking about maybe just bringing one down here and like putting one like this, cut a V in it, weld it, and put it back up like that so it kind of holds its shape. Not sure if I want to do that in 1/2 inch or 1 inch, but got to do something because this can't just sit here like this. It has to be a little rigid. Also, you might have to come up a little, but it also gives me an idea of how far away the bumper is going to be. And it's really not that far away, but you know, it is what it is at this point. We are working with what we got. So I'm going to cut a couple pieces and give them a good fish mouthing or whatever the hell you call it, notching, I guess. Slap those in. And then I don't know what I'm going to do to hold it up. That's going to be a real pain. Doing this stuff yourself is not fun, but you got to find a way to do it. Maybe I'll grab some squeezy clamps. I got 2 of them and put them on the edge here, like where it would sit. And then I could basically put the bumper in and hold it in the middle and rest it on there and work one-handed to just reach in and pull the stubs out towards the bar and just kind of tack weld it in. And once I get it tack welded in, I can pull all the clamps off of it and weld it. But this is the hard part. This part stinks. I know I'm not really that good at this type of thing, bending pipes and stuff like that. I am pretty good at welding, but I'm not that good at bending pipes and stuff. But this one came out pretty good. I've tried bending pipes with math. I've tried bending them with theory. Every time I just look at it and kind of say, okay, that looks good enough, it comes out just fine, which is kind of dumb. It shouldn't. It should actually come out perfect with math. But hey, I go with what works. All right, so what we got to do now is we got to create some kind of stuff underneath the car, which is like we need to make ducting because, well, it's only got one duct, and it's this little strip underneath there because apparently short track cars are more like cup cars now. I usually, on my car, have a huge duct opening here and a huge one at the bottom, because air matters when you're trying to cool the car off. But I've never gotten these lower ones to work. So I'm going to build as good of a duct as I possibly can, because that just needs to be done. And then once we get that done, I mean, I was thinking about putting the nose back on and trying to figure out the support that I'm going to have to put in for the nose and probably the hood pins. It's going to be a real pain, because all the time you spend when you're doing stuff like this is trying to figure out what goes next or how to even make it in the first place, because it's not like there's a book for this. You know, this is all kind of figuring out it on the fly. And, you know, when you don't do this for a living and you're just kind of a hobbyist like me, that takes a lot of time. You got to figure out theory and you got to figure out angles, and it's tough. This is the hard part, is trying to figure out where things go. When you know where things go, it's easy to just throw bolts and nuts and screws and washers and wrenches and sockets and whatever the hell, duct tape, I don't know, throw everything at it, right? This is the hard part, trying to figure out where to make things and how to make things. So I'm going to put my one brain cell remaining together with, I don't know, the universe, I guess, and see if I can come up with whatever the hell we're doing next. scrap piece of 1/2 inch that was actually the correct length. So I said, all right, I'll just bend it into shape and just weld it on. It's gonna hold it up. It'll be fine. Probably not withstand a huge impact or anything like very hard racing or something. But I mean, what do you know, what really will, to be fair. It'll hold the nose on. That'll be a good idea. Then we just got to get to ducting and hood pins. And then maybe I'll even spray paint it black and put it back. That way it looks a little clean, doesn't rust like that. And that, and that, and that, and that, and that, and that, and that. But we'll see. We're getting there, though. Well, we got a long way to go, but it's starting to take shape, starting to come along. You can see the overall idea of what I'm doing here. I figured out that the bottom of the bumper is literally the top of the air ducting right there. So I figured that would be a good place to start. Also, apparently I built the bumper a little bit off crooked. I measured out where to do it, and I bent off of the backwards measurement instead of the one I was supposed to. But it didn't really matter because it ended up being the correct width. It just kind of moved the center line over, which kind of stinks. But it is as wide as the nose, so that's pretty much all that matters. Little boo-boo there, but that's okay. We lucked out anyway. I'm finding other places I can beef up, like this thing. I was thinking about just running a support straight up like that, just to kind of hold her in place a little bit better. Not quite sure if I'm going to do that yet. After we get this thing finally polished up and I kind of stuff the nose on and give a good look at where everything's supposed to be, then we're going to throw the hood on and we're going to see where the pins lay and see what we have to do to get that to work. I'm sure that it'll take something like large plates with a hole drilled in them. I'm not really sure where they're going to end up, but we're going to have to figure it out. So we're just going to keep plugging away at the sides here. Don't get your hopes up. By the way, somebody didn't put the right decals on this nose, and they look 10 times better. These are the 5-star, I think, ABC stickers for the nose for a Camaro, but this requires a different one. I like this better. It looks a lot more aggressive. Again, don't get too excited. This isn't even on yet. I put the hood on, see if I could line up where the hood pins are going to go, and that support bar that I put in down here, I think it's going to work. 2 of these, that one and that one, are in one of the main struts, so we'll probably just drill through that and do my bolt trick where I find a long bolt with a long unthreaded or untapped shank on it, or shoulder, whatever you want to call it. Cut the head off of it, polish it up, drill a hole through it, and then it becomes a hood pin. And I think we're going to do that for all this stuff over here too. So ductwork at the bottom doesn't quite have the bottom part connected up to the bottom of the nose, so we got to build a filler piece there as well as on the sides, but the basic ducting is actually done, so that's good. So that's the majority of the front end done. We just got to get to finishing some fabrication. But as the sun starts to set over the hill, because we've sprung forward, so we got a little bit more daylight. I keep forgetting that the sun sets later than it used to, and I keep losing track of time. So it's actually getting a little later than I thought. And we got a hell of a lot done today. And we even have an idea of what we're going to do tomorrow. So I'm going to have to call it for today because, well, I got other obligations. It's also league night. So I got to go take care of that. And I got to take care of the kid. I got to get home stuff done. I don't want that to fall behind. And I'm going to leave this for tomorrow. But we made a ton of progress today. And hopefully, we can tie up a lot more tomorrow. Okay, it's like early o'clock, and I'm clocking in. We got hood pins and stuff to do. Got to do front and rear. Then we can move to like body braces, hood repair, ducting, to finish that. I don't know, whatever comes up first. Doesn't really matter. It was like 60 degrees out yesterday, which is summer in New England. And it's back to 30 this morning, and I hate it. And so I'm going to let the garage warm up a little bit and then dive right in. So I know I've told you guys how to do this in the past, but if you want to make hood pins on the cheap, bolts with a shoulder on them like this. I got this big box of 3/8 by 2-inch bolts, and I figured cut the head off it, and if you need to adjust it, you can leave the threads on it and just put a nut on both sides. Simple. Then you drill a hole through the middle of it, because this is very mild steel. These aren't very strong bolts. They're just kind of like, I don't know, less than grade 5, whatever the lowest grade is. They'll be fine. And yeah, people want aluminum to try to make it light, but you know, these are very small. You barely even notice them. Some of these I'm gonna have to weld on. So God almighty, that's hot. I must have just did that one. But yeah, these are gonna get holes drilled through them when I figure out what height they're gonna be. These, like I said, some spots I won't be able to use that. I have to just kind of weld them to where they are. We'll figure out where to drill that too. But that's a cheap little easy solution. If I haven't, I know I've shown you before, but if in case you forgot or you're new, put them in a drill after you cut them, run them on your bench grinder and spin the drill, and then kind of do it flat and then kind of roll it up like this. And you get that really nice curve to it. It looks pretty cool. So helps out a lot when you're putting the hood on too. So guys, the hood pins are in. I had to make little stubby ones right here because these bars are right in the middle of it, but that's fine. They work. Who cares? Got the support bar here. I was thinking about actually riveting this to the support bar, give it a little bit more help. Might be a little difficult because it is a 1/2-inch bar. I'll figure, yeah, maybe I'll do the edges like there and there to hold her on. It would help. It really would. But the hood pins all go through the hood. Might need to scuff a couple of little plates, and I'm gonna have to redo those rivets because somebody used regular rivets on fiberglass and they don't work. They pull right out. You need folding rivets, or at least put washers on it if you're gonna do that. But that's okay, we'll fix that. Pins are all in, ducting is in. Like I said, I think we gotta, well, I know we gotta seal up the ducting a little bit more because you can see a gap between the bar and the nose. Well, all the air is gonna come flying up through there. So I got the basic ducting in, as you can see. And there's a little gap down there as well. Yeah, I didn't know where that was gonna sit, so I figured I would just make the basic ducting, and then whatever we have to add on, we can do it with the nose attached. That way, at least we'll know what to do, and if we got to duct tape stuff, we'll duct tape stuff. It's okay. As long as the air gets through there and we can get in to work on it, which we can really reach in here pretty easy too, so that shouldn't be too bad. It'll be annoying, but it won't be too bad. For now, I think I'll spend a few minutes just getting this hood repaired because it is pretty beat. And I don't feel like spending over $300 on one when I can just chuck a couple pieces of aluminum scrap behind it, rivet it on, and spray paint it red and throw it back on the car. I think that's what we'll do. We'll make a few little repairs, then we'll figure out where to go from there. After a little bit of adjusting and hogging out a couple little skid plates just to make it fit perfect, it looks like it's pretty good. I threw some red spray paint to kind of dye the open fiberglass and the patch panel that I put in. And from 50 feet, it looks like crap. So what we're going to do now is focus our attention elsewhere. I think there's a bunch of stuff still remaining, like the ducting and at least trying to think, yeah, body braces and stuff. I'm trying to decide whether I want to put, you know, Yeah, we're going to have to start tying in the sides and front and stuff. So I think I'll tie in the front, do body braces, and just stay up front. We'll stay up here. We'll keep tying in whatever we got left. I'm going to let this paint dry. I might have to go to the Harbor Freight. Not Harbor Freight. It's not that close. I guess what's close by? Home Depot, Tractor Supply. Find some pins because I don't have any. And it would be good to have some, especially for the rear. So I'm going to need like 10 pins. That'll at least give me some spares for the other car. Well, I was going to leave, and then I figured out that I could buy exactly what I needed on Amazon and have it here the next day for a fraction of the price of where I could get it locally. Sorry, but if you're not frugal with your money nowadays, how do you expect to really live right? So don't blame me. Anyway, I'm going to just continue working on whatever I mentioned before. There's still a number of things that need to be done. I'm just going to pick something and go. See how much duct tape I got. Well, here's the last piece. Let's see how she fits. Because I made this ducting right up against, I guarantee I carved my hand open doing this because I forgot to put gloves on. Wow. Look at that, huh? Might be my best work yet. Maybe. But this is done. With this installation, I'm probably going to have to make a little mount that holds this radiator in, but that's not a huge deal. That's pretty easy. It can just be a little tab and just screw it into this upright. But this is the last piece because the ducting is in fully. I've even got the little cracks and crevices and nooks and crannies and such all taken care of. Did I do this right? I don't even know anymore. But to get this thing in will be the last piece. So the front end, bumpers in, hood pins in, ducting's in, nose is on, fenders are connected. Everything here works. Almost knocked my dang camera over. But we're just going to hook up the radiator hoses. Hopefully they don't fight me too bad. I put a flexible one on the bottom, and that made life 10 times easier because I couldn't use it on the other car, but I can use it on this one. So why not do that? Tighten everything up and we're done here. The only thing we have to do left in here is basically put water in it, set the timing, put fuel in it. Oh, we got to do setup and stuff, but that's no huge deal. That's always going to be a thing. And that's it. So now we can go to the back. Guys, look at this unit. Cinderella got herself a new dress. The ducting, done. The pins are all in. I even did a little repair work to the hood. Repair work. Radiator's back in. The mechanicals are back together. Let me think here. Yeah, this is all done. I got to put the windshield in. The back, check this out. Braced. Trunk lids on. You can tell I did it because you can't pick it up from one side. There we go. Trunk lids, pins, in, braces, in. Look at that. So at this moment, we are 2 windows and a couple little minor things away from having this car completely done. Completely. Obviously, we're going to go through it and make sure all the nuts and bolts are tight because that's a necessity. But, I mean, look at it. It's almost done. And I can't believe it. It's so fulfilling. You know, because I feel like I owe this car a lot. And I feel like leaving it out in the yard to rot was just really the wrong thing to do. And look at that. I've given it a new chance at life again. And it's it's just coming together. Let me show you. I might as well show you under the hood what I did. Don't know if you all saw it up close or not, but I figured I would. Like I said, we put a little bit of cardboard and duct tape on it just to cover the little pieces. I've made entire air ducts out of cardboard before, and the car has stayed cool. Wouldn't recommend it because, well, it's cardboard. This one's made out of plastic and aluminum sheeting. By the way, I did put a little strap here just to hold it from falling over because, you know, if it stays there, that's fine. If it moves around a little bit, this should hold just in place. I put a little tape on it for the corners down here. I put some roofing tape in that only sticks if you hit it with a torch, so that'll never come off again. Mechanically, the engine, everything is done. You've seen all this in a previous video. All we have left under here is a setup. Oh, we also got to drill the holes to mount the shocks on the lowers. Some water. And that's it up front. Back here's a completely different story. I think wheel spacers, which I don't have. Depends on where we're running it or who's running it. And I got a rear window and blow the dust out and clean it up a little bit and put gas in it. That's all for the back side. I think at this point, I'm going to take a small break. I will come back today and we'll hopefully see if we can tackle the rest because I really kind of want to hear this thing run and I want to see if I can get the mechanicals all working and make sure there's no leaks and stuff. That's on the agenda. I'll see you later though. Took a little break, had me a nice burrito from the freezer. I'm going to dig these windows out, start stuffing them in the car. As soon as I just remembered I have to actually use the front. I didn't put the brake bias controller in the car yet because you're allowed one. I have one, I didn't put it in. So I'm going to go wrestle with that because it'll be completely impossible to do. And then we can go put the window in. Rear windows in, struts are in, so that when you're going somewhere fast, it doesn't cave the back window in. That really helps quite a bit. And the front windshield with supports, also in. Can we just take a minute here and just kind of think about where we've gone and how we've gotten there? Like I said, this car was sitting right there behind that other chassis that I have to cut up, just rotting away. You saw the rust on it when we started. It was just going to pot very quickly. Now look at it. I'm thinking about it and I'm like, aside from the hood pins that are going to come in tomorrow, the body is done. These last 2 days have been some of the most productive that I've ever had in the shop, and I'm not even joking. It's kind of surreal. I've said this 100 times, I think, by now, but there's a sense of pride that goes into this. And, you know, am I the best at this? Absolutely not. I'm just a hobbyist who doesn't work as a mechanic, doesn't work as a race car builder. I don't work as a welder. I don't work as a fabricator. I don't work as a pipe fitter. I don't work as an electrician. I don't do anything for my daily job that pertains to that in any way. But to stand here now and look at what was just a pile of parts and a rusting cage and rotting tin work and something left for dead, and to see it sitting here now as a full-fledged race car, it just blows me away. You know, it's so cool. I mean, yeah, building the new car was really cool, but the end result was kind of expected. I didn't expect any of this to be happening, and it's here now. It's here. There are a couple little things we got to do. I got to put gas in it. I got to put a vent from the fuel cell outside. I have one. I just got to put it on. I've got to put a sway bar in it. I got to bolt the upper A-frame in somewhere because, well, we haven't finished that yet, but that's all part of setup. And I need a couple wheel spacers depending on where this car is going to run. I don't even know if I'm going to run it. I might be building this for somebody else, but that's fine because I really kind of enjoy doing this, and I'm just so glad that I could give this thing another shot, just because of the memories and the experiences that I had in this thing, and it matters to me. It really does. And I hope whoever ends up with this thing is somebody that'll care for it. I really do. Because it was really good to me. And I'll be honest with you, it's probably going to be even better than when I had it. So, we got a lot of mechanical stuff to do. I'm going to go check on my kid. Maybe I'll stay out here and keep working. But I got to go spend some time with him, take a break. And I'll come back to you when I get back in here. I've performed miracles with the floor. Now I can work again in here. However, I think we're just going to have to call it for today. I've put in a full, well, I don't know how many hour day. The sun is starting to go down. I haven't been inside all day, so I think I'm going to just kind of sit on my laurels here for a minute. Just enjoy the fact that we've accomplished so much today. Make a checklist, see what we have to do to continue. There's still plenty of things left, and I think we'll just tackle it again tomorrow. Okay, early o'clock next day. I've gotten some errands done. I have purchased all of the distilled water from the local Dollar General. Hopefully that will help us with our rust situation, which somebody told me it should. And I trust their opinion completely because they deal with water. So that'll be good. I bought 8 gallons, and hopefully that should be enough for both cars because, well, these things with I don't know how many core radiator they have, 2, 4, I forget how many. They're big. They have big radiators, but they're usually about 3+ gallons. So hopefully it should be enough. We'll figure it out though. They still had some left, so if I really need some, I can go get it. But anyway, I'm going to go to the back of the car, take a look, just make sure everything's done back there. Probably throw some fuel in it later. As you saw in the time lapse, I threw some fuel in it. I had to put a vent in there. Luckily, I had an old one hanging around that was actually from this car way back in the day. As like I said before, I hold on to everything. So I used my electric pump that I got from Temu, and it runs on D batteries or something, and I didn't burst into flames. So that helped because this fuel cell has a flapper valve in it. And if you're putting fuel in the car, especially a whole 5-gallon jug, that's a real pain by yourself. You got to hold the funnel and try to wield like I don't know how many pound thing that is, way up in the air, and it's just really ungainly. And all right, so how we're going to get the fuel to the front is one of 2 ways. One, I got this thing from the Dollar General. I just put gas in it. I was going to fill the float bowl in the carburetor all the way up, and then have the car just run and pull the fuel from the tank. There's also a second way. You have to be really gentle with this, though. You can take your air hose and put it in the vent tube like this and just give her a little burst, and you can crack a line up front just to have it vent the air out. And once you hear it spilling on the ground, or if you have a second person, once you see it start coming out, you can stop and pull the air out, make sure that it doesn't keep going, and that'll prime your system. You just got to be careful you don't just blast a whole tank of air into there. Just a little spurt, like just enough to get air pressure into there. Doesn't have to be a lot, because you don't want to blow up the damn fuel tank and expand it, blow it up, whatever happens. But that's another good way to try and get the fuel to the front. These fenders are so wide now, I can barely reach in here to do this. I mean, there we go. Give her a couple good squeezes until it decides it wants to pour all over the place. Like, oh, that's it right there. That's probably way too much. Then I got a little bit to bottle feed her, just in case she doesn't want to run. Well, I guess I'm going to have to buy another gallon because it took 4. I thought these things only took like 3.5. Hey, I could be wrong. Who knows? I hope that is not a leak. I hope that is just... let me tighten that down anyway. But I got to get the distributor wrench at all this other stuff. And... okay. Well, it is tight. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. I probably spilled some. But now's the moment of truth. We check for leaks and set timing. And this thing has really... I'm not used to doing this. This is a lot. All right, so let's see if we got any squirter action. There's a few. All right, contact. And I can't reach that either. That's great. Should have put the lone wolf on here. Out of gear. Told you I should have put the lone wolf on it. Why don't we crank a whole bunch of timing into it? Not timing. Idle. Hope there's some gas left. I might throw some timing at her. Oh, missed it. What do you think, guys? Throw a little timing at her? Oh, I like big changes, but not that big. Getting fuel yet? Yeah, you got some in there. Try again. See if I can reach the pedal. Dang it. Boy, this thing is not happy, huh? That's a bad sound. Almost got me tight. Luckily, we're not. Hang on, let me just take a look at her at least. Yeah, we're gonna have to tighten that up. Well, at least we can check for leaks now, because even with the horrific belt squeak, which I thought that was tight enough, but I guess not. I guess we'll have to go check those. Oh, yeah, it's going to be tough to do because it puked a whole bunch of water up when I hit the throttle. So there's that. Timing's not that far off, but we're going to have to... That's silica gel. That's weird. Anyway, we'll take a look. We'll go around and we'll take a look. Looks like the power steering is fine. Doesn't look like there's anything coming out of it. That's good. I don't see any water leaks besides the stuff that came borking out. So that means the water pump works. Let's take a look over here for fuel leaks. Nothing. Nothing. How about down here under the car? I don't see anything. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can retighten these belts because for whatever reason they're loose. And then maybe we'll try again. This thing's... Stop that. Oh, damn. Why is it two different sizes? I don't know what I did with my screwdriver. Oh, it's burning my eyes. Where's my fan? Ow. This thing does not like to run, does it? It's that cam. The cam is so aggressive. This thing runs like dookie. Is there smoke coming off of every single header? Because I need to make sure that this thing's actually running. And I need my fan because I'm going to die. Well, remember that water neck I was talking about? And how I didn't like how it looked? Well, it's leaking out of there. Profusely, by the way. There's a giant puddle down there. Other than that, there's no leaks. The alternator charges. For some reason, the belts squeak. I don't know why that is. They are tight and brand new. So maybe I'll just clean up these pulleys a little bit. Yeah. Still really hot. Yeah, maybe I'll just clean those up with some wire brushes or some belt dressing or something just to get that to stop doing that. So there's that. I didn't check the power steering, but it's not leaking. You know, half the battle with half of this stuff is checking for leaks. I finally got the thing tuned up enough to run. These built motors, they typically don't like to run because we're really aggressive with the cam profile. So they are very cold-blooded. They do not like it. Once they're warmed up, though, they run just fine. It's just kind of the matter of the beast, you know. So I'm going to let this thing cool off a bit while I'll come back to repair that with some goop as soon as it cools off. But if there's one thing I can take away from this, it's that the carburetor that I kind of threw together seems to work. It wasn't running because the accelerator pump arm was adjusted way too far away. So anytime I cracked the throttle, it just went and just died because it wasn't getting any pump shot. So I'm like, that's weird. Then I remembered, oh yeah, I forgot to adjust that. So as I rub aloe burn gel on my leathery thumb after getting burned by that exceedingly hot pulley for no reason, I did realize that the gauges also work. The alternator's charging, it was like 13.8. The water temp was 140 as read by the gauge. Oil pressure was like 40 when I was revving it up a little bit. So, I mean, it's not smoking. I mean, it was smoking because we're burning the paint off of the headers and the new exhaust, but that's to be expected. So, all told, first impressions, not bad. It's just a cold-blooded creature. Doesn't like to run when it's cold out. Crate motors, though, like in my Stafford car, they're really not bad. You could just fire them up and they'll idle because they're basically a truck motor from the early to mid-90s. So that's why they run so easily. But, all right. Still waiting for her to cool off. I'll get to work. So I had a theory about why the belt squeak is so bad. And I don't know anything if I'm right or not, but again, this is why I'm not an engineer. I noticed that I have this pulley on the back, really, really tiny one, right? And I've got this one looping around the front on the really, really big one. And I noticed that the only pulley that's hot is this pulley. And you may say, well, it's probably because the water pump is hot. Well, I'm touching the cast iron water pump, and that's not as hot as the aluminum pulley. So I'm wondering, is there a speed differential causing a drive issue and like spinning a belt on this pulley? I might have found a pulley, which just fell on the ground, that might just loop that right there and do the alternator alone, because then it would just drive off of this. I'm wondering if there's some kind of interference with the pulley size and it's got a speed differential that's causing resistance and squeaking, and I'm willing to try it. I just don't like the idea of only having one pulley driving the water pump, but I mean, or one, yeah. It is what it is though, so I mean, let's try that. I think that was the problem. I changed that belt orientation and the car is running way better. Before, you noticed it was like fighting itself. Well, now it's very smooth. There's no more belt squeak. So I think we figured out that problem. When you rev it up, it does charge to about 13 or so it's okay. Everything seems to be sealed up. I filled it up with the funnel still in it, so it was still full when it was getting hot. So I had to pull it out, and I dumped all the water everywhere. So I'm gonna go check the power steering, make sure that works. It probably won't because we're on the small pulley, but we'll see how that works. Can't really tell, but I'm seeing that it's moving. It's not leaking. It's turning fluid. If it's turning fluid, it's working. Take a quick peek here. I'll have to check the advanced weight mechanism. That might be hanging up a little bit. I want to check that, but she's running pretty good now. That belt was definitely the issue. All right, everyone, we've double and triple checked all the stuff. There's still a few things to tighten up. There's a setup that needs to be put into it. There's a little bit of work left, but for all intents and purposes, this car's done. And if I might be a little bit cheesy for a minute, may I present you Old Car 2.0. For me, at least, it's 2.0, but Old Car 2.0. What do you think? It's a hell of a lot better than sitting here rotting right where I'm standing, because that's where it was. It even sounds pretty good. Yeah, again, setup needs to be fixed. Left front's way too high. Some of the wheel wells could be trimmed. Not quite as straight as I'd like. This one's not so bad. This one back here is a little okay here, but not here. It's tucked down, but they give you all this room here that you can kind of notch it if you like. But that's just how the body fit on my car. So that's how it's got to sit on there. It's not a huge deal. Again, like I said, it's all plastic, jigsaw, draw a line, cut it right out. It'll be totally fine. We got bracing in it, so it won't move anyway. She's a little dirty. This side came out pretty good for having holes in it. Again, this side's got to come up. These are the Thompson wheels, and it doesn't have any wheel spacers in it because, well, they're on my other car. I don't have any. It also doesn't have any lead in it. And again, probably have to trim this, but that can be done once it's scaled and we figure out what it is, or whoever ends up with it can figure out what it is. But again, guys, what do you think? Better than rotting away in the yard, huh? Well, since it's outside, at least I can sweep the shop up, because boy, it is dirty because this thing hasn't moved since I hauled the chassis in here a few months ago. It sat right here until I finished it. And it's finished for the most part. I mean, yeah, clearly there's a few things that need to be done. Like I said, it's got to have a setup and it's got to have a few more things, but I mean, it's a race car. It's a full-fledged race car again. It's just kind of a surreal moment. I keep saying that, I know, but like it really is. It's wild to me to think that this is a thing that we did in such short notice too. Like, and it doesn't even look bad. I mean, a couple little spots, yeah, we got to trim it and make it fit a little better, but it's pretty good. I mean, I haven't drilled the holes in the back window so that we can adjust the jacking bolts back there, and even that worked out. That did way better than the last time I tried to do that. That was a complete nightmare. But I think that right now, that's the end of the old car build saga. And I did finish it a few days earlier than I expected, but that's the thing. I might have finished this early, but we are not done, because I got another one of those to put in here. That's not mine. It's my brother's car, and I wanted to get this one done as quick as humanly possible so that I could get his in here so that we could do the exact same thing to his, except just put a body on it, really. I mean, oh, and a cam and the motor. But that's going to be a whole new series for the next video. So thank you guys so much for hanging in there with me on this project. I know this is a little shorter video than you're used to, but this is the end of the old car saga. We took it from a bare chassis and tins to being a complete race car within a matter of, what, 2 months, maybe less? And it's pretty surreal. It's just me kind of babbling on right now, but it's just, I can't believe that it's a thing again. And it's crazy to me. It just really is, you know? And if I drive it or sell it, I just hope that it, you know, ends up in the right hands, and, you know, we'll see what the future holds. But if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. I know, like I said, this is a little shorter video than you're used to, but we got projects we got to get in and out of here. So tell your friends if you think they'd enjoy something like this. I am going to continue cleaning my garage because, boy, did we tear this place up getting that car done. Either way, thank you all for watching. I greatly appreciate every single one of you. Until next time.